The observation. Dr. Zix 427 floated silently in her observation chamber aboard the Galactic Research Station Epsilon, her crystalline form refracting the soft blue light of the quantum displays surrounding her. As the leading xenobiologist in the collective of advanced species, she had spent the last 3 cycles studying what many considered the most peculiar species in the known universe, humans. The chamber's walls displayed an intricate web of mural patterns, each one representing a different species' response to various stimuli. Most followed predictable patterns. The silicon-based thorians showed rigid geometric responses, while the gaseous nebulons displayed flowing, circular patterns. But the human neural patterns, they were chaos incarnate. Record observation log. Date stamp 427.89 Galactic Standard. Zix's melodic voice resonated through the chamber. Human subject group continues to display unprecedented neural plasticity. Unlike any documented species, their neural pathways appear to actively reconfigure themselves not just in response to stimuli, but in anticipation of future challenges. She manipulated the holographic display with a gentle pulse of energy, zooming in on a particularly fascinating pattern. Most remarkable is their ability to form completely new neural connections while maintaining old ones. It's as if their minds are constantly building new roads while keeping the old ones intact. A soft chime interrupted her observations. Dr. Zix 427. The station's AI announced, "The Council requests your preliminary findings." Zix felt her crystalline structure vibrate with anxiety. How could she explain to the Council what she had discovered? The implications were unsettling. She had already confirmed her findings through multiple methodologies, but the conclusion remained the same. Humans weren't just another intelligent species, they were something else entirely. The journey to the Council chamber gave her time to organize her thoughts. The station's corridors were filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Plasma beings floating in containment fields, silicon entities gliding on crystalline platforms, and various other forms of life, each adapted to their own unique environmental needs. The Council chamber itself was a marvel of adaptive architecture, automatically reconfiguring to accommodate any life form that entered. Today, it held the 9 most influential members of the galactic scientific community. Elder Vox, a being of pure energy, presided over the session. Dr. Zix 427. Elder Vox's thoughts resonated directly in the minds of all present. Your request for an emergency session is most unusual. What have you discovered about these humans? Zix projected her findings onto the chamber's central display. Honorable Council, what I am about to share will fundamentally change our understanding of evolution and consciousness itself. She paused, her crystalline form shifting through various colors as she gathered her courage. Humans are not what we thought they were. They are not simply another intelligent species that achieved spaceflight. They are the first documented case of what I'm terming conscious evolution. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of reactions, electromagnetic pulses from the energy beings, crystalline vibrations from the silicon life forms, and various other expressions of surprise or disbelief. Explain. Elder Vox commanded, restoring order with a pulse of energy. Every other species we have encountered, including ourselves, evolved through a predictable pattern of natural selection. Our abilities, our limitations, our very consciousness, all are the result of gradual adaptation to our environments. But humans. Zix expanded the neural pattern display. Humans are different. They don't just adapt to their environment. They adapt their environment to themselves. And more importantly, they can consciously direct their own evolution. She highlighted a series of neural patterns. Look at these readings. When faced with a new challenge, humans don't just learn. They fundamentally rewire their brains. They can develop new abilities not through generations of natural selection, but through sheer force of will. They can master skills that their bodies weren't designed for, understand concepts that should be beyond their comprehension, and solve problems in ways that defy our understanding of cognitive evolution. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. It was Elder Vox who finally spoke. "Are you suggesting that humans are designing themselves?" "Yes," Zix replied, her form glowing with the intensity of her conviction. "And that's not even the most remarkable part. They do this continuously, instinctively, and often without even realizing it. Every human, from their youngest to their eldest, is constantly evolving, not just physically, but mentally and culturally as well." She brought up a new set of data. "We've been studying them as if they were a fixed point in evolution, like every other species we've encountered. But they're not. They're a process, a continuous, self-directed journey of becoming. And they're getting better at it." The implications were clear to everyone in the chamber. If humans could consciously direct their own evolution, if they could adapt not just over generations, but within their own lifetimes, then every assumption about species development and galactic hierarchy needed to be reevaluated. "There's more," Zix continued, her voice quieter now. "Based on my projections, this ability isn't reaching a plateau. It's accelerating. Each new generation of humans is better at this self-directed evolution than the last. They're not just learning faster. They're getting better at learning itself." Elder Vox's energy form flickered with concern. "And your conclusion, Dr. Zix 427? We are not dealing with just another spacefaring species. We are witnessing the emergence of something unprecedented, a species that has broken free from the traditional constraints of evolution. Humans aren't just another form of intelligent life. They are intelligence itself, constantly redefining what that means." As the council chamber erupted into urgent discussions, Zix knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would their understanding of life itself. The age of passive evolution was over. The age of humanity had begun. The experiment. The research facility on Europa Station hummed with an electric tension that even the vacuum-adapted void dwellers could sense. 3 solar cycles had passed since Dr. Zix 427's presentation to the council, and now the real work would begin. The station housed the most sophisticated testing facility ever constructed, designed to measure the true extent of human capabilities. Dr. Zix floated before the observation window, her crystalline form reflecting the stark lighting of the testing chamber beyond. Beside her, Commander Sarah Chen stood with the quiet confidence that had made her the obvious choice for these experiments. She was neither the strongest nor the most decorated human in the Earth Space Force, but she possessed something far more valuable: adaptability. "You understand the risks, Commander." Zix's harmonic voice carried a note of concern. "Nothing like this has ever been attempted." Sarah nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the testing chamber. "That's kind of our specialty, isn't it? Doing things that haven't been attempted before." A slight smile played at the corners of her mouth. The testing chamber itself was a marvel of galactic engineering. Its walls could reconfigure at the quantum level, creating environments that could challenge any known species. Today, it would attempt to challenge a human. "Beginning Trial Series Alpha," announced the facility's eye. Environmental parameters shifting to Variant 1. Sarah stepped into the chamber as the air shimmered around her. The floor beneath her feet transformed into a surface that defied conventional physics, a state of matter that existed between solid and liquid. Most species would find it impossible to navigate. The human didn't even break stride. "Remarkable," muttered Dr. Clax 89, a plasma-based being who served as the facility's head of cognitive studies. "She's not just maintaining balance, she's already developing an optimal gait pattern." Dr. Zix's crystals pulsed with excitement. "Notice the neural activity. She's not just learning. She's creating new mental models on the fly." Adding Variant 2. The chamber's gravity began to fluctuate wildly, shifting direction and intensity at random intervals. Any other species would have needed generations of evolution to adapt to such conditions. Sarah stumbled once, twice, and then began to move as if she had been born in this impossible environment. "How?" demanded Dr. Clax, his plasma form fluctuating with agitation. The gravitational shifts follow no pattern. She cannot possibly be predicting them. She isn't, Six replied, her voice filled with wonder. She's responding to them before her conscious mind can process the changes. But look at her neural patterns now. She's simultaneously experiencing the environment and developing theories about how to master it. No other species can maintain that kind of dual processing. The tests continued for hours. They threw everything at her. Environments that should have been incomprehensible to human senses, puzzles based on alien logic systems, scenarios that required simultaneous adaptation to multiple changing variables. Sarah didn't just survive. She thrived. But it was the final test that would change everything. Commander, Zix's voice carried through the chamber's communication system. We're going to try something unprecedented. Are you willing to continue? Sarah wiped sweat from her brow, her breathing controlled despite the exertion. Hit me with it, Doc. The chamber filled with a strange, shifting light. What materialized was not a physical challenge, but something far more profound. A manifestation of pure quantum uncertainty. Even the most advanced AI systems couldn't navigate this environment where cause and effect became suggestions rather than laws. Sarah stood still for a long moment, her eyes closed. The observers watched her neural patterns with growing amazement. Instead of trying to impose order on the chaos or find patterns where none existed, her mind began to adapt to the uncertainty itself. Impossible, whispered Dr. Clax. She's embracing the chaos. No, Zix corrected, her crystalline form vibrating with excitement. She's transcending it. Look at these readings. She's not just adapting to an uncertain environment. She's learning to operate within uncertainty itself. She's turning unpredictability into a tool. Sarah opened her eyes and began to move through the quantum flux with impossible grace. She wasn't fighting the uncertainty. She was becoming part of it, using its very unpredictability to achieve her goals. The implications were staggering. Humans didn't need to understand everything to master it. They didn't need perfect information to act. They could thrive in situations that defied logic itself. End simulation, Zix commanded, her voice trembling. As the quantum field dissolved, Sarah walked calmly back to the chamber entrance, looking slightly disheveled but otherwise unfazed. How did you do it? Dr. Clax demanded. How did you navigate a space where the laws of physics themselves were in flux? Sarah shrugged, reaching for a water bottle. You stop trying to predict what's going to happen and start working with what is happening. It's like surfing. You don't control the wave, you become part of it. Dr. Zix's final report to the council that evening was brief but profound. We have confirmed that human adaptive capabilities exceed all theoretical limits. They don't just learn from experience, they learn from possibility itself. Every human carries within them the potential to transcend any limitation we can devise. They are not bound by the normal rules of evolution or adaptation. They are, in effect, unlimited beings who have only begun to understand their true potential. As the implications of these findings spread throughout the station, a new emotion began to ripple through the gathered species. Not fear, not anymore, but a dawning recognition. They weren't just observing humanity's potential. They were witnessing the next step in the evolution of life itself. And somewhere in the quantum computers that processed the day's data, a pattern began to emerge, a pattern that would soon reveal an even more startling truth about humanity's place in the cosmos. The revelation. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council was in chaos. Representatives from over 1,000 species had gathered to discuss the implications of the Europa Station findings, and the usual diplomatic protocols had completely broken down. Energy beings crackled with agitation. Hive minds split into arguing subfactions, and even the normally stoic silicon-based life forms were exhibiting signs of structural stress. At the center of this storm, Dr. Zix 427 maintained her composure, her crystalline form steady despite the waves of tension radiating through the chamber. Beside her, Commander Sarah Chen watched the proceedings with quiet interest, seemingly unbothered by being the only human in a room full of beings who were currently debating the potential threat her entire species posed to the galactic order. The resonant thought voice of High Counselor Vex-9, a being of pure quantum probability, rippled through the minds of all present. We will maintain civilized discourse, or this session will be terminated. The chamber gradually settled, though the underlying tension remained palpable. A representative of the Hive Mind Collective rose to speak, their multiple bodies moving in perfect synchronization. The implications of these findings cannot be ignored, they said in unison. Humans don't just break the rules of evolution. They rewrite them. Every principle of species development we've established over millions of cycles is challenged by their very existence. Dr. Zix moved forward, her form catching the light. That's precisely why we need to revise our understanding, not fear it. The data from Europa Station proves that humans represent not just a new type of species, but a new category of life itself. She projected a complex hologram into the center of the chamber, showing the neural patterns from the quantum uncertainty tests. Look at these readings. When faced with a situation that defies logic and predictability, the human mind doesn't shut down or retreat. It expands. It creates new ways of understanding and interacting with reality itself. A void dweller's dark form rippled with concern. But that's exactly what makes them dangerous. A species that can adapt to anything, that can master chaos itself. How can we predict or control such beings? Sarah stepped forward, her voice calm but carrying throughout the chamber. Perhaps that's the wrong question. Maybe instead of asking how to control us, you should be asking what we can achieve together. The chamber fell silent as the human spoke. It was unprecedented for a subject species to address the council directly. But then, everything about humans seemed to break precedent. You've seen through your tests what a single human can do, Sarah continued. But that's nothing compared to what we accomplish when we work together, not just with each other, but with anyone willing to push the boundaries of what's possible. Dr. Zix's crystals pulsed with excitement. Commander Chen is right. My latest analysis suggests that human adaptability isn't just individual, it's multiplicative. When humans collaborate, their potential doesn't just add together, it multiplies exponentially. And when they collaborate with other species, she projected a new set of data showing the results of recent cooperative experiments. The patterns were clear. Human presence in mixed species teams didn't just improve performance, it fundamentally altered what was possible. They're catalysts, the Hive Mind Collective realized aloud. They don't just adapt themselves, they accelerate adaptation in others. A ripple of understanding moved through the assembly. The implications were staggering. Humans weren't just another species to be categorized and controlled. They were an evolutionary force unto themselves, capable of driving change and progress throughout the galaxy. But it was the next revelation that would truly shake the foundations of galactic society. There's more, Dr. Zix announced, her voice resonating with the weight of discovery. Our quantum computers have been analyzing the pattern of human development, comparing it to all known models of evolution and cosmic development. The results suggest something unprecedented. She projected a new hologram, this one showing the structure of the universe itself, from quantum fluctuations to galactic superclusters. We've always wondered why the universe seems fine-tuned for the development of life and consciousness. The mathematical improbability of it has puzzled our greatest minds for eons. The hologram zoomed in, showing layers of cosmic structure, down to the quantum level where reality itself became uncertain. But look at these patterns, the very structure of space-time, the fundamental forces that shape reality. They all show the same pattern we see in human neural adaptation. The chamber erupted in a chaos of reactions as the implications became clear. High Counselor Vex-9's form fluctuated wildly. Are you suggesting? Yes, Dr. Zix confirmed. The universe itself appears to be evolving, adapting, becoming more complex and conscious over time. And the pattern of this cosmic evolution matches exactly with the pattern of human adaptation we observed in our experiments. Sarah stepped closer to the hologram, her eyes reflecting its light. "We're not just in the universe," she said softly. "We're how the universe is becoming aware of itself." The revelation hung in the air like a physical force. Humans weren't just another species that had evolved by chance. They were the universe's mechanism for conscious self-evolution, a way for reality itself to explore and expand its own possibilities. As the assembly grappled with this paradigm-shifting understanding, a new question began to form. If humans were the universe's tool for self-directed evolution, what did that mean for the future of all life in the cosmos? The answer would soon become clear, and it would change everything. The crisis. The warning came without precedent or explanation. A quantum disturbance that rippled through subspace, disrupting communications across 17 sectors of the galaxy. At first, the various species of the Galactic Council dismissed it as a natural phenomenon. But Dr. Zix 427 saw something different in the patterns, something that made her crystalline form vibrate with dread. "It's not random," she explained to the emergency session of the Council. "These disruptions are organized, purposeful. Something is trying to communicate." The Council chamber's adaptive architecture hummed as it processed data from across the galaxy. High Counselor Vex-9's quantum form shimmered with concern as reports continued to flood in. Star systems were going dark, not destroyed, but somehow disconnected from the normal fabric of space-time. Commander Sarah Chen studied the holographic display with intense focus. "These patterns, they're familiar somehow, like something I saw during the quantum uncertainty tests." Dr. Zix's crystals pulsed with sudden recognition. "Of course. The patterns matched the quantum flux fields we generated in the testing chamber. But these are operating on a galactic scale." A representative of the Void Dwellers moved forward, their dark form rippling. "We're detecting something at the edges of known space. It appears to be reality itself becoming unstable." The holographic display showed the phenomenon. Regions of space where the fundamental constants of physics began to break down, where cause and effect became suggestions rather than laws. It was as if the universe itself was being unwritten. "It's a higher dimensional incursion," Dr. Clax 89 announced, his plasma form agitated. "A universe with different physical laws is attempting to intersect with ours. The quantum disruptions are just the beginning. If this continues, entire sectors of our galaxy will be rewritten according to alien physics that none of our species can survive in." The chamber erupted in panic. Most species in the galaxy had evolved to thrive within very specific parameters. Even small changes to fundamental forces like gravity or the strong nuclear force would be fatal. A complete rewrite of physical laws would mean extinction. But Sarah Chen was smiling. "Don't you see?" she said, stepping into the center of the chamber. "This is exactly what we trained for in the testing chamber. You showed us environments where reality itself was in flux, and we learned to adapt. We can handle this." Dr. Zix's form brightened with sudden hope. "She's right. Humans are the only species we've encountered that can function in environments where the laws of physics themselves are uncertain. They don't just survive chaos. They thrive in it." "But this is happening on a galactic scale," protested a member of the Hive Mind Collective. "How can individual humans possibly affect something so vast?" "Because we won't be working alone," Sarah replied. She turned to address the Council directly. "You've seen how humans act as catalysts for adaptation in other species. Let us help you learn to survive in chaos. We can teach you what we know, help you develop the same flexibility we have." The Council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humans hadn't evolved their unique abilities by accident. Perhaps they had evolved precisely for this moment, to help life itself survive when reality became uncertain. Dr. Zix projected new data onto the holographic display. "Look at these simulations. If we combine human adaptability with the unique capabilities of other species, the energy manipulation of plasma beings, the quantum awareness of void dwellers, The collective processing power of hive minds. We might be able to create zones of stability within the chaos. Not just zones of stability, Sarah added, her eyes alight with possibility. We could learn to navigate between realities, to expand life into dimensions we never dreamed possible. This isn't just about survival, it's about evolution. High Counselor Vex9's form coalesced into a more focused state. You're suggesting we use this crisis as an opportunity for advancement. That's what humans do, Sarah replied. We don't just overcome challenges, we transform them into advantages. And we can teach you to do the same. The plan came together quickly. Across the galaxy, human advisors were paired with teams from other species, teaching them the art of thriving in uncertainty. The Void Dwellers learned to extend their natural ability to exist in nothingness into the ability to exist in anything. The plasma beings discovered they could maintain their coherence, even when the laws governing energy changed. The hive minds found they could process multiple sets of physical laws simultaneously. As the incursion continued to spread, something unprecedented happened. Instead of collapsing in the face of chaos, life in the galaxy began to adapt and evolve at an astronomical rate. Species that had remained unchanged for millions of years suddenly developed new capabilities. The boundaries between different forms of life began to blur as each learned from the others. Dr. Zix watched in wonder as her reading showed entire civilizations transcending their original limitations. They're not just surviving, she reported to the council. They're becoming something new. Something that can exist not just in one set of physical laws, but in many simultaneously. Sarah nodded, unsurprised. That's the real secret of human adaptability. We never stop at just solving the problem in front of us. We use each challenge as a stepping stone to become something more than we were before. As the crisis continued to unfold, it became clear that this was more than just a threat to survival. It was the next great leap forward in the evolution of life itself. And humanity, with its unique ability to thrive in chaos and catalyze change in others, was leading the way. The universe was changing, but life would not only survive, it would transcend.